Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's edition of Fake Accents Unite. In fact, it is our Christmas special. Although it's not Christmas, it is Christmas Eve. We're quite happy to be here. And speaking of the we're, I'm joined by, as usual, the Britisher. Good evening, sir.
Deck the halls with boughs of holly and all that.
That sounded more like you were saying deck the halls with boughs of mourning than it did. Holly.
Boughs of misery.
Have you got misery? And the dulcet tones you can hear there as well being tailed feature. Good evening, sir.
Oleg Real.
Is what?
Expect that one, did you?
No, I didn't expect that.
If mine was misery, that was more of a declaration of war.
What did he say?
Everything I say is a declaration of war, Britisher. You should know that by now.
Well, there is that, yes.
Would someone like to explain to me what is going on?
I have no idea.
Are you co-opting the stream, Tel, so that you can?
Well, you see, given that it's 1 o'clock in the morning, you can't expect us to make sense.
It's 1 o'clock. Well, I think you'll find. Wait, where exactly? Nowhere in Britain is it 1 o'clock in the morning, Britisher.
You just told us that we were assured that we were on at the wrong time because it was 1 o'clock in the morning.
1 in the afternoon, I said.
Oh, sorry.
Somewhere in the Empire, it is 1 p.m.
It's always 1 p.m. somewhere in the Empire. I can see in the chat some of the regulars and everyone coming in. It's lovely to see you all. Greed the Avaricious, RC saying it's not Christmas until December 25th. And also, why is a package sent by boat called cargo, but a package sent by car a shipment? I have absolutely no idea, but thank you for that interesting.
More than likely the EU's fault.
It's probably whose fault?
It's more than likely the EU's fault.
It's either the EU's fault or it's those bloody Yanks. They're making their Americanisms, which make no sense.
Yes, I could well imagine that cargo could be one of those hideous Americanisms, but more than likely I'm sort of jumping to conclusions here, and there's some classical connection to antiquity, I don't know. But cargo is a strange word, isn't it?
There's definitely going to be some frantic Googling going on in some quiet moment where someone suddenly goes, I know why cargo is cargo and a shipment is a shipment.
Well, then we look forward to that explanation. And we are already preparing to doubt it in advance.
Oh dear. British Knight says, miserable soldier doesn't like Christmas. Is that you, British Knight, or is it me? I'm not miserable.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Please feel free to
Well, talking of you just yesterday tweeted me from your alternative account, didn't you?
Did I?
With the Nigel Mansell avatar.
Look, Britisher, you seem to have this bizarre assumption that I would spend a great deal of time and effort creating what is effectively the Twitter equivalent of a side piece.
Who else in their right mind would use a Nigel Mansell avatar?
I try to avoid Twitter almost as much as humanly possible, and so it's far more effort than it's worth, even to troll you, when I can troll you perfectly effectively from my own Twitter account. What would be the point?
There is that.
Greed the Avaricious says, this day is Christmas Adam, as Adam was before Eve. Very good, very good. We're definitely on things here. The shipment cult sounds silly, apparently, as opposed to the cargo cult. A cargo of escargot.
Pants are a thing, aren't they?
Yeah, cargo pants, but I think that's also an Americanism.
Pants doesn't sound very good.
Cargo is cargo and shipment is shipment, but why is the helmet pith? Britisher?
Because it's perfection.
It requires its own name.
Well, pith is light and it also absorbs water.
It's just like the pithiest of people are the best of people, clearly.
Of course.
British Knight saying, I'm talking about our dear colonialist. So he's talking about you then, clearly, Britisher. You're not very happy today. Obviously, today being close to Christmas, I figured we would shy away. We would shy away from the political topics of the evening of the past week. Although, if people are desperate, I'm sure we can talk shop.
Somehow I've got the feeling that we will not more than likely succeed in staying off political topics entirely. I don't know.
When have we ever? But I do have.
I've got the feeling we could more than likely, talk about the history of the Smurfs, and we would still end up somehow talking about politics.
The Smurfs, let me think about this. I can link the Smurfs. I can say the Smurfs, the South Park parody of the Smurfs, which was linked to Avatar. That episode was parodying fake news and sort of inflammatory political pundits. Oh, and we're back on political punditry. There you go. So I have a number of questions for the two of you. I was hoping actually to have a few more guests on. Let me see. Discordia will be here in a few minutes. She's trying to build the chair that she's going to sit on.
Yes, I saw somewhere on Twitter that her chair seems to have collapsed.
Oh dear. But, yeah. Oh, Colin P. Smith is telling me that cargo cults were a thing in the South Pacific. Natives supposedly worshipped cargo from aircraft, as they'd never seen aircraft before. So there we go.
So this is a name that is as recent as aircraft, then?
I have no idea. But presumably. Papa Smurf was a dictator. Don't be so nomist. The Smurfs were commies.
But then again, the Smurfs are Tory blue. Or is that EU blue?
Well, they're clearly blue Labour. That's what it is. Yeah.
Well, yes, Papa Smurf has a red hat and pants, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Denoting him as being chosen by Mal's little red book.
And a sort of little white beard. So a sort of Corbyn Smurf.
It's almost like Corbyn Smurf. I was going to go with, you're right, he does sound a little bit like Santa. But no, it's definitely.
Quick, row away from the politics.
Row away. I have questions for you. Right, okay, so here we go. The first one I'm going to say is, we're familiar with Santa Claus, obviously. What's another name for Santa Claus? Give me a list of all the names for Santa Claus.
Nicholas.
Saint Nicholas, yes.
Sinterklaas.
Sinterklaas.
I think that's about as close. I mean, my Dutch is not good, but that's where I believe Santa Claus originates from.
You're just showing your checkered past even more with every passing second Britisher. Like most people in Britain are going, Father Christmas, that sort of thing. Saint Nicholas, yeah, coming in.
Well, of course, with Sinterklaas or Sinterklaas, I think it is, not Klaus, Sinterklaas. He of course has his sidekick, Zwarte Piet, which somebody assured me is actually Pete and not Piet, as I insisted in pronouncing it.
Isn't that Black Pete or something?
Yes,
Black Pete.
Precisely. Who, of course, is the image of villainy and Western racism, even though he's just a 500-year-old tradition or something. But there you go.
And I love how you brought the topic back onto racism. Let's talk about Lammy's bid for the Labour Party leadership in 20.
Well, yes, but it is strange how one has even managed to politicize Santa Claus.
All I wanted was one of you to say Saint Nicholas, and that was the main thing. And
Saint Nicholas, okay, yes,
and we achieved that quite quickly.
Yeah, I said that.
That well-known Turk, Saint Nicholas.
Yes. Well, yes. So you've already ascertained. So I was saying, in which country was Saint Nicholas born? And you're saying Turkey,
yes,
which is quite correct. But what was the actual name, do you know, of the area he was born in, which is now Turkey, but it wasn't back then? And I don't expect you to get the city.
I'm guessing here. So was it a city?
I don't. Well, there is a city name, but I don't.
Saint Nicholas of Myra. I know that much.
Good evening, Discordia.
Hello, how's it going?
Very good, thank you very much. Pleasure to have you with us. So what we are doing is we are just answering the question of where does Saint Nicholas come from? We already know he comes from what is called in modern day times Turkey, but I'm curious what the name is of either the city or the district.
For the third time.
Yes, go for it.
I know he was Saint Nicholas of Myra, but I don't know where Myra was.
He's not.
Was he not British's friend? British, do you not know this fella?
Would he have been in Ephesus?
It's not Ephesus.
Nicaea?
It is close, but not quite.
Oh dear God.
Shall I put you out of your misery?
Go on then.
It is a city called Patara in Lycia, in Asia Minor.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no. So I mean, Nicaea is actually it's somewhere else in Turkey, but yeah.
But yes, I was more phonetically. You were close.
Okay.
You were close phonetically. We'll see, but yes, there we go. One of the things I hadn't realised is that apparently eggnog is, aside from that being a thing, it was invented in England. Not that I know anyone at all who does actually drink eggnog over here. Do any of you have in your Christmas traditions eggnog drinking?
Never.
I have never tried it, no.
I have been around people who had eggnog Christmas tradition.
In Britain?
Yes. I'm not that surprised that the British should have invented eggnog. The British seem pretty good at finding just about anything and looking at it and going, how can we turn this into booze? So,
again,
for example,
it's not actually...
I think the Spaniards, the Portuguese, and the Dutch were growing sugar for some time before the British took to it, and the first thing the Brits did was make rum out of it.
Marvellous.
Quite
yes.
right.
Quite right too. The funny thing with it is that it's not really that traditional over here, or certainly I've never come across anyone, much as you claim to have friends in the sphere of eggnog drinking, British, who do it. And yet
also known as the eggnoggery. Yes.
It might be a stupid question, but how do you make eggnog? I'm assuming it's not just like alcoholic egg.
It's not actually alcoholic when it starts off, and
when it starts off,
it's something you mix with alcohol, or you mix alcohol into it. The closest approximation that I'm sure most of you will be aware of existing, even if you don't partake yourself, is something like advocaat and limoncello. So
advocaat in drinks, like in like cocktails or something, as one of the ingredients.
Yes, and advocaat is sort of like a light custardy drink, and eggnog is much the same. It is made with whiskey.
I find it funny how you can take something that sounds as domestic as eggnog and sort of immediately say, oh, well, I have no idea that there's any kind of domestic tradition regarding that. And then immediately jump from that to, oh, well, as people will know out there, such and such and limoncello.
Yes.
Yes. Well, what can I say?
Well, that's quite common down in the south. That's all I can say to that. I mean, you can have it with lemonade, make yourself a snowball.
Previous career as a pizzaiolo. Yes.
Oh dear. But basically, it's more or less loose custard, and you mix booze into it, and that's that.
Sounds revolting.
It is. I can't say I've drank it, but apparently it's.
I don't like custard.
You don't like.
So.
Oh, you don't. I thought you said pus for a second, and I was like,
I
don't think anyone likes pus. But
I do like a bit of custard.
But custard, I have to be in the mood for custard. I was kind of put off custard as a child because my dad used to love trifle, and so we would have trifle a lot. And I think I just cannot disconnect kind of that sort of soggy cake and fruit with the taste of custard.
Just give me the whole tin.
Forced trifle eating that put him off custard.
But basically, eggnog is eggs, sugar, milk, heavy cream, and nutmeg, and then you add usually bourbon to it. That's the general gist of that.
I wouldn't get house room.
Which says
you have
I wouldn't have it in my house.
you have to add bourbon, as the Scots will just not allow you to have any whiskey for such purposes.
It'd spoil the whiskey, wouldn't it?
That'd be a waste of whiskey.
To mix it with, the only milk-based alcoholic drink really I had this really nasty drink called a brain hemorrhage,
As it's described, really.
And yeah, it was a kind of raspberry liqueur and milk, and you put it in, and it basically filters down, and it looks like veins in a brain, basically, and you have to drink it quickly. It's not a large drink.
It's basically Britisher in a jar.
It's not.
You drank British.
I drank British.
When you're saying milk-based and whatever, wouldn't Baileys be milk-based?
I mean, Baileys is more sugar. Baileys, I do enjoy Baileys, but I don't know whether or not you could say it's actual milk. It's a lot
yes, but I'm assuming there is some sort of cream content in there, is there not?
A little bit. But it has to...
So there would be something dairy-related, surely.
I don't know what they do to it to prevent it from curdling, but yes, presumably. There is some cream there.
Chances are they just pickle it with sugar and alcohol. Yes.
Harry Channel is asking me to check Streamlabs. Yes, just a reminder, if you send super chats in via Streamlabs, I get to keep 90% of it, as opposed to the 70% that YouTube keeps, and we'll still read those out, so it's more worth it to me, but it's up to you. And that self-shill aside, I will just load this up, and it should say a few things, but I'll just catch up with the super chats that are there whilst that loads. So Mighty Balzac says, 20-year-old Britisher had an onion tied to his belt. It was the style at the time. Britisher?
Well, of course.
Do you often tie various vegetables to your belt?
Does he have a belt on his jaw?
Or is it only onions?
The onion beltery of the 12th century is so famous. I mean, how could one possibly get away from it? I have absolutely no idea what the man is talking about.
The British Knight says, damn fucking neoliberal Blairite Smurfs. They're always there, coming over here, stealing our jobs. Yeah, we don't like that. Drug Shovel says, Merry Christmas, lads. Thank you very much, Drug Shovel. Tim Betts says, cargo cults are fascinating. The natives would mimic waving at the planes when the airdrops stopped because they didn't understand how it worked. Yeah, interesting. If sort of a slight aside there, I don't know anything myself about cargo cults, so it's not like I can contribute much aside. But I'm sure it could be a segment on a future episode. British Knight again saying, St. Nicholas is the patron saint of prostitutes. He dropped gold down families' chimneys to stop their daughters from being sold into prostitution.
Not chimneys. Stockings. But
Are you
basically,
sure
they had the stockings out to dry in the back of the house. And he dropped the gold coins into the stockings. Hence, still the tradition of putting up Christmas stockings.
Are you sure he wasn't just visiting the houses of these young women himself?
He was
visiting the daughters, dropping a coin in their stockings.
I forget what the word was for the particular tax. But I have to mention it. The Romans had a poll tax back then, which I believe actually was introduced by none other than Constantine the Great Christianizer of the empire. And
Scots never forgave him for that.
Yes, precisely. The paleocons are still up in arms about it. But when it came to it, this poll tax was actually very hard to raise because I think it was a gold coin per person. And what it meant was quite a few families were kind of forced to prostitute their daughters in order to make the tax, the coinage necessary to pay the daughter's tax.
Oh dear.
And the story goes that St. Nicholas heard of this family being in such desperation that they were about to prostitute their daughters.
Oh my.
In order to get the money, in order to be able to pay the tax for them. And so in order to avoid these girls being prostituted, he one night dropped the gold coins that they needed for the tax into their stockings as they were drying on the washing line behind the house. So the family didn't have to prostitute their daughters because they had been given this gift by St. Nicholas. That's the original tale of the gift giving of Christmas and Saint Nicholas. Yes.
Amazing. I had no idea it went that.
So yes, there is a prostitution angle in Santa Claus, which, funnily enough, always gets omitted. I don't know why that is.
They don't have. They don't mention in the American folklore that Mrs. Claus is actually one of the girls who took a liking to him after he saved her from prostitution.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if Santa Claus is the patron saint of prostitutes, because it would sort of make sense, wouldn't it?
Saint Nicholas, patron saint of prostitutes, thieves, philanthropy, and colliers. Apparently, according to the
colliers.
According to the chat.
That's a strange sort of tangent. Colliers. I wonder what the connection is there.
I have no idea. I'm afraid it's coming in purely from the chat side of things, so perhaps someone can explain. That's good. Let me see. Drunk Shovel says, and lass, you weren't on at the time. A Merry Christmas to you as well. So you're saying a Merry Christmas to you, Discordia.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much for that.
May I just quickly interject something, because it just shows how big a fool I made of myself earlier, saying, well, in that case, it must be related to aircraft or whatever. I've just looked up the etymology of the word cargo.
Of course you have.
Mid-17th century, from Spanish cargo, carga, from late Latin caricare, caricare, to load.
Is that related? I imagine it's related etymologically speaking to caravan. Is it not?
That could very well be, yes.
Given that was you had trade caravans, which are obviously loaded animals, so possible that it comes from that. Mogut says Idiom in Dada's clone Lammy achieving power in the UK, albeit hilarious, is problematic, as you don't need a last King of Scotland. Yes.
Then again, is David Lammy any good at boxing?
As far as I'm aware, no. But I also
Idi Amin, I believe, was a famous army boxing champion.
I mean, I would pay good money to see David Lammy having the shit kicked out of him by someone in a Santa Claus outfit to keep things thematic.
By Anna Soubry, yes.
By Anna Soubry in a Santa Claus outfit, yes, clearly.
I do wonder if Lammy will be able to find his opponent. Be like, oh, he's not here. He's behind you.
What?
Have you not seen
Don't worry,
that?
Discordia, I got it. I got the joke.
Good. I hope chat got it.
If his opponent were not to wear a Santa Claus outfit, but a policeman's outfit, then that would no doubt be the case, yes.
Yes. They're invisible. I can't see them anywhere. In fact,
I haven't seen a policeman all day.
There should be a charity fight for the Met Police at one of their functions. It's just like a roaring crowd, but Lammy can't see any of them. And we're back on politics, ladies and gentlemen. Dear. The Harry Channel says...
Yes, we could more than likely organise some kind of charity fight between David Lammy and Anthony Joshua. And before the fight, we just basically let Anthony Joshua know that David Lammy thinks he punches like a girl.
Oh, God, yes, clearly.
And then we just leave the rest to take its majestic course.
Well, there would be, of course, a Twitter storm about how do girls punch Britisher. Have you not seen any of the mighty trans athletes these days who
yes, of
punch
course.
as a punch like a true champion? The Harry Channel says, I don't want us to go on to politics. We're talking about trans issues. The Harry Channel.
Tailed Discordia, you know what the mission of today is, don't you? To drag him back to politics at every opportunity.
I have 2 A4 sides of questions that I will ask you. The Harry Channel says eggnog is probably derived from a 16th century spiced and spiked dairy drink called posset. It's as British as it gets. Thank you very much, Harry Channel. That's something I didn't know. I appreciate that. Posset. Let's have a look at posset, shall we? What could that be? Originally a popular British hot drink. Milk curdled with wine or ale, often spiced, and used as a medicine or remedy. So there we go.
You would have that after your pottage, would you?
Presumably. I have no idea. Apparently, according to BBC Good Food, it's good with sugared almond shortbread. So there you go. Greed the Avaricious says, I can live off a bag of flour, a turnip, a leek, a pound of pork, raisins, and butter for a week. The simple things are the best. But will you be happy, Greed the Avaricious? Your turnip. I suppose, it's something that has to be said. I do greatly enjoy it. As soon as when I moved out of home for the first time years ago, and I learned properly. I mean, I knew how to cook, but when you start cooking for yourself, and when you start doing meal prep for yourself, things become a little different. So, and I found a great enjoyment in cooking meals that I could have and making up my lunches for the next 3 days or so. And there was certain thriftiness that has a satisfaction associated with it. But I don't know whether or not a bag of flour is the perfect pick-me-up in the morning with a turnip as a chaser. I don't know about that. I'm sorry, I've missed. RC said, have some money. Thank you very much, RC. And Tailed, have you got the chat up at the moment?
Yes, I do.
Can you read what Greed the Avaricious has sent in as the last message, please?
Oh, he says, Nolag chriel agus bliana va'ur.
And what does that mean?
Which means Hearty Christmas and Happy New Year.
Oh, well,
Very nice.
thank you very much. And
I still say it's a declaration of war against Poland.
It's the Sassenach.
There's always a declaration of war against Poland. I mean, Poland is just a country which just can't seem to catch a break, can it?
Well, it seems to be sort of unfortunately situated, doesn't it?
Yes, and
if you're to the north of the Austrian Empire, to the east of the Germans, to the west of the Russians, and then north you've got the Baltic Sea and the Vikings. How shall we say? One can assure you of an interesting history, not necessarily a happy one.
Let me see. What did? Sorry, I just...
You've suddenly fallen deadly silent.
I did. I basically got cut out because I was reading about Myra. I basically dashed into Discord to see what all the fuss was about. And Tailed Features linked me a passage about how Myra was actually pre-Lycia, and he was right all along. So...
Well, there you go. See...
It's the Cyberpass quiz all over again.
You just... Well, if you can cuck me from behind like that, then that's fine. I mean, oh, no, nobody clip that. No, I don't want that going on. Okay. Let's move on to my next topic. Okay. Which country, ladies and gentlemen, started the tradition of putting up the Christmas tree? Britisher will know this one.
Lapland.
I believe it was the Germans.
It was indeed the Germans. Another one of those.
And then it was brought by Prince Albert to Britain, I believe.
Yes. Very, very correct. But I'm just saying, these Germans meddling in our British traditions once again, Britisher. They can't be doing...
I mean, bring across moustaches as fashion.
That could well have been. I don't know. There you've foxed me. I wouldn't know that. But yeah, I believe he was responsible for quite a few fashions and sort of traditions that we sort of see as quaint and antiquated today. Yes. But when it comes to the Germans, given that about half the language is Germanic, don't think we can really blame them for Christmas trees.
Well, I was just thinking about the tradition of it, right? Because we actually go through an awful lot of Christmas trees around this time of year, and how long it is going to be before Greta.
Are you about to tell us about the carbon footprint of Christmas trees?
I was going to.
Because the BBC has already been way ahead of you there.
Because who's coming way ahead of me there?
the BBC has already come in way ahead of
Oh,
you
have
guys.
they now?
Oh,
Do
yes.
tell, do
Yes,
tell.
They have been going on about how the carbon footprint of a Christmas tree can be, what is it? Is it twice the equivalent of going on holiday twice or something like that?
Oh,
That's a
you just sort of
holiday,
think-
to be fair.
And you sort of, that's absolutely ridiculous. You know,
and then you try and get a plastic Christmas tree, and then suddenly that's got an even larger carbon footprint through the manufacturing costs. And you just go,
of
we
course,
should
you know,
never.
So
we should all.
ideally, what you should do is just basically have some kind of decorated lettuce leaf in your
Yeah,
lounge.
not
or
even-
something
not
like
even
A
that.
Just have a Brussels sprout with a Christmas light.
That
With
light
a solitary candle.
Is it going to be
too much
like?
energy?
Is it going to be like one of those
make it
children's
solar-powered.
projects? Is it going to be like one of those children's projects where they use a potato to power a light bulb, and instead
There
they're
you go.
going to have a?
Yeah, I've always wondered these kinds of things. Like, is it better to have a plastic tree that lasts you 15 years, or to have an intensively grown, shitty real tree that's going to die because you've just chopped it down anyway and then throw it away? What one is better for the environment? Who knows?
I just think it's
Well-
it's one of those things where according to the people who are going to obsess over this being part of your carbon footprint and that sort of thing, that you should just never have anything which is ever considered to be a frivolous expense. Nothing that is
Sounds
ever
all right to me, being a Scot.
nothing that's
Look, if you can get some recycled paper and just draw a Christmas tree and then try and stick
Pin
that
it to
to
the
the
Gonna
wall,
have-
that might be okay.
You're going to have paper instead of a beeswax slate.
Recycled paper.
You paint a
Well,
tree
can I-
on your
can I
wall,
just-
and then at Christmas just add some extra bits to it, and then take them down again. So you've always got a tree on the wall.
Can I just take this opportunity to terrify you, poor little millennials here, with a with a recollection from my past, because there is something about Christmas trees that I think would most likely turn young people's hair white when they heard it.
Were you 20 at the time?
This is even pre-20 for me.
Ooh.
Ooh.
So consider
trees
Does
before
such a
then?
time period really exist?
Well, yeah, I mean, as we know from Jordan Peterson, at the time of the lobsters, there were no trees. But when it comes to Christmas trees, now, first off, the fake Christmas tree is actually a fairly modern invention.
Mhm.
So if you go
Relative
back
to a
sufficient
real tree,
decades, people just could only have real trees. But now also consider that those nice little sparkly lights that you can just sort of wrap around the tree, connected with an electric cable, are also actually quite a modern invention. And the way, therefore, to have lights on your tree was to have little clip-on candle holders,
Oh my.
Oh my.
which you needed to place, obviously, so that when the candle was lit, it would not actually, accidentally touch a branch above it and set the whole thing alight.
My cat would set the whole
yes,
house
let's not
like
mention
that.
cats.
But they were. That is how you had, Christmas lights on your tree. And there were at the time kind of, those government advisory clips that once in a while we see of days of yore, in which they would warn people with, startling footage of a Christmas tree fully alight, to have a bucket of water, in the room with them when they have the Christmas tree on, just in case.
You mentioned like
British, how did you survive your childhood?
Well, mankind got through these things. So, no doubt, electric lights were a great advance.
I remember adverts round about Christmas, saying, "Remember and turn your Christmas tree lights off when you go out because they will catch fire and your house burns down."
Yeah, I definitely remember a
Yep.
significant fire risk there.
But
But it's also
then
one of those things where
this predates them. So
yes,
this
I
is-
realised that the fact that candles predate electric lights is a revelation.
yeah, I know it's I'm spilling grave secrets here, but yes, This must be 10 years back or something like that. I actually found the old box of clip-on candle holders that still had some of the wax on them that had run down from the candles, if you know what I mean. So yes, there was nothing one could really do with them other than just dispose of them.
I'm perhaps going to make it sound like I'm a lot older than I actually am, but I used to have a piano that had the candle holders on it.
No, that was just because you were Jewish, Tailed.
That was in your previous life.
That doesn't make any sense.
Kleiderman.
You had your candelabra piano that was clearly there.
No, the candle holders were either side of the music stand.
Amazing. I love the idea of that. I remember I was talking to somebody the other day, actually, speaking of music, because I was like, I really want to get back to my piano. I haven't had one in years, and a friend of mine still has theirs, my old piano tutor as well. And I thought, maybe I can go around there and I'll bring them their Christmas present, and their Christmas present to me can be I play on this piano. But I ran into a friend who was just like, who had played the piano for years, or I should say had played the piano for years. They'd played a keyboard for years, and they had never actually managed to play a proper piano. And so I took them round, and they had the chance to play on this Baby Grand, and they came off it. They were just like, "I've just had a religious experience." It was
What do you do with your feet?
Sorry?
Probably didn't know what to do with his feet.
Well, there are 3 pedals for a start, and that confused him.
Exactly.
Yeah. Once you just work out, you say it's like a car. It's just the right-hand pedal to go, and then you're fine. But no, I love that. I need to go back again this year, actually. But let's move along. I keep opening.
I'm still trying to get over Tailed Feature, as Liberace with his
how dare you
candelabras on his piano.
It's almost like I feel like he's more like a modern day Meatloaf, with that kind of like really dramatic music video. He's the sort of guy who would have some sort of organ-esque piano with great big candle holders on the side. And I
didn't say I could play the thing. I just said there was one in the house.
Wasn't Vincent Price always the one who sort of did those kind of numbers of the demented organ player, usually playing, something sort of diabolical sounding with lots of vigor?
That wouldn't be on the piano. That'd be on an organ, surely.
No, that would be organ. Yes. Sorry, have I just... Yeah.
Just where was this going?
It's one of my hidden talents to kind of go off in a tangent that just kills everything stone dead. So please, continue.
It's quite all right. Okay, so I'm going to skip over...
From now on, if I just kill everything and we just get the silence, then all any of you just need to do is just go fa-la-la-la-la-la-la-la. We're back on theme and can just move on.
Nobody
can play that on the organ, and then we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yes, on the organ.
We need to. When is your Christmas special coming out? Hearing your dulcet tones there singing Britisher.
Album coming out.
Yes, produced by Tailed Feature, of course.
What?
On gramophone.
Yeah, on vinyl. I'm going to skip over a question which involves Home Alone because I cannot.
Not vinyl, shellac.
Cannot stand that film. And I'm going to ask the question to the panel. Why is Boxing Day called Boxing Day?
That's when the charity David Lammy boxing matches.
I like the idea of that, but it is not correct. Any thoughts from anyone else?
I have, in all honesty, absolutely no idea. Could it be that when certain things got boxed up?
No, it's not.
No. So
if I had an alarm...
It has nothing to do with boxing or boxes.
It is to do with boxes in a way, but it's not to do with boxing things up. What it actually comes from is that traditionally on Boxing Day, the church would have done a collection for Christmas, and that's when they would do a second one for the poor on the next day. So you would do your collection for the church, then your collection, and then your family sort of Christmas dues, and then the next day you would go out and you would give to the poor, and the church would put alms boxes out, and that's what people would drop their money
I
in.
see. For a moment there, I thought that Boxing Day was the ironic name given to it when the parents discover that their small kids prefer playing with the boxes than the toys that came in them.
Ah, much like young cats, I understand. The thing I was going for was as well that Boxing Day always used to be the day on which presents were opened. So I was hoping to catch you out with that being the tradition that I was referring to, and instead I was bringing religion onto the stream.
Is it not just because families are sick of each other by that time and just beat the shit out of each other?
I mean, not all of us are from Scotland, so...
That's every day, though. Every day is Boxing Day.
Every day is Christmas in Scotland.
Every day is Boxing Day.
When's the serial killer? That sort of thing. Yes. So, have you all done your Christmas cards this year? Do you do Christmas cards at all?
I do, and you've just reminded me I haven't done them yet.
No.
Ooh.
Don't be upset if you don't get one from me.
I'm going to be terribly disappointed when I don't get... In fact, do you know what? I'd be more scared if a Christmas card from Discordia came through my door, given that she doesn't know where I live.
Now I'm tempted.
You don't know my address.
And then when you open the card, it just says, "I know where you live." Discordia.
Or worse, it just says, "Look behind you."
Found you.
Just see the shadow of Oozaloo in a cupboard somewhere. I don't know.
I know what you did last summer. Yes.
You did last Christmas.
Oh, even better.
Speaking of an Oozaloo, we have an Oozaloo in the chat. Good evening.
Evening, 1 second. There we go. Okay. Hello there. I am invading your little stream, your humble little gathering.
I mean,
Is that your new name now? Not so obvious. 1 second. Like short round, you're just 1 second.
Not quite.
It's descriptive.
I mean, you talk about shut up. You talk about have you know that I am a kind and considerate and a long-lasting lover.
For yourself. When you have things to do, of course.
And you talk about invading the stream. I did invite you, so there is that.
Yeah, you can be invited to invade. Just like the EU invited us to invade their calm, peaceful little narrative where everything's fine with this massive corrupt institution ruling over us, and now we've decided to invade that.
And just
by
like that,
leaving.
And just like that, we're on politics
Back
again.
on politics again.
Was that not the intention?
That is not. I'm not necessarily.
Hey guys, what do you think of this this Corbyn man? I don't know about him.
He looks a bit like Papa Smurf. We've established
Yes, we
so far on this stream.
He's been running Smurfington or whatever.
I rather like Random Account's assessment of him. He looks like a goat's cunt.
It's just like instant demonetization, and then he just comes in like a steamroller.
Do you know when you said you invited me, and then remember what I said I was invading? Yeah, I think that's just come back to the truth, hasn't it?
I mean, it's kind of sad.
Oozaloo, can I just ask, are you the spirit of Christmas past or Christmas future?
I think I'm just a Christmas-spirited Time Lord at this point. I'm all of them. Chat's asking when the 18-hour Oozaloo stream is. Well, I mean, if this one bombs as I totally expect it to, then I guess I can pick up an 18-hour stream straight away. You guys are welcome to attempt to invade it if you prefer. I see that I've caused complete silence.
Just
la 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 la
la la. Yeah, definitely. I tell you what, I'll take us onward, shall we, into the scheduled programming.
What's the next politics topic?
Lovely. Well, it's not politics. I said, have you done your Christmas cards this year, Oozaloo? Have you done
What's a card?
You've done a card?
No, I said, what's a card? I don't do paper. Paper is, well, for one thing, it's not very environmentally friendly,
well,
is
you
it?
could do e-cards, couldn't you?
Yeah.
You could do
That's
those
not really
really.
a card.
You could do those really irritating. What is it like? Elf yourself. Email cards which drive everybody mad, which are hilarious the first time you see it when you're 6, and the rest of the time not so much.
As for a card is one of those things the referee brandishes, in the same way that the referees are going to be giving all the football audiences red cards on Boxing Day. Now that's a segue.
Are you saying that Christmas cards are a threat or a punishment or something of that kind? Because that's how I see them.
The punishment? What? How
But
is
I think you
Christmas...
see it rather as a
great, thanks.
punishment
No,
for the
I have
person
to-
having to write them.
I have to walk to where the mail is. I have to open this piece of shit, touching paper of all things, read this gay-ass message that you could have just sent me on my phone, and then find a place for it in the bin if I don't want to put it up somewhere and pretend I care that I got this piece of paper from someone who could have just messaged me and I already know wishes me a happy Christmas.
I mean, with some luck, you might be getting 2 messages for the price of 1. If the card has been bought from Tesco and was happily packed by some poor prisoners in China.
Oh, God, yes.
You are
And
full of segues today, aren't you, man?
We're going straight into that, are we? Goodness gracious.
Because that's not politics.
It's exactly
La
the same.
la 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 la.
La. Oh, dear.
I said that suggestion would work, didn't I?
Amazing. The reason I'm asking about Christmas cards is because
Yes,
the
back to
Oh,
question...
sorry,
Christmas
you were asking
cards.
me a question, weren't you? Yeah, I went
I
off
think,
into a
I
tirade.
think he was actually asking all of us a question.
Well, apart from that,
too bad.
look, Oozloo, first of all, who hurt you with a Christmas card when you were young? That's the first thing.
Look, I'm just very environmentally conscious. You know me.
Yes, Groozaloo, we're going to call you from now on. But when... That's the shittest name.
It's more
Yes,
than
it
likely
is.
still the trauma
Why
he's
do you even
suffering
read
from the
that? Am I right?
2005 paper cut he suffered one Christmas.
Oh, dear.
You can't get paper cut for a Christmas card.
You can get a card...
Unless
I
you're
have
really trying.
Yes, you'd
You're
have to
very
really
kind.
want to die. The question is, to the whole panel, is when were Christmas cards first exploited for profit?
Probably Victorian era, I thought.
Yeah.
So I
When
think
were people using lead pipes?
lead pipes?
Yep, it does things to the brain. It's the only
Woman
explanation.
thing.
And I'm looking for sort of a general range of years. It's
Lead
definitely
pipes, that's my answer. 5
Victorian
words, lock it in.
1960s.
1860s, pretty close, pretty close. Any advance on 1860?
18
Higher, lower.
You'll have to let everyone else have their guess first, Britisher, and then we can go for that. What did you say, Tailed?
said 1850s out of spite.
1850s out of spite. Well, you're closer.
49.
80. Well, Discordia is the closest so far.
Yes.
We're getting
fuck off.
getting there by
I've
year.
discovered a brilliant tactic here. I just wait for you all to guess wrong.
No, you go.
Well,
Well,
my
it's your
Soviet
turn.
is telling you warmer, colder, warmer, colder.
It's your turn now, Oozloo. But anyway,
Yeah, I'm not playing. This is gay.
exactly.
Lead pipes is my final
It's
answer.
80 lead pipes, definitely.
Yeah.
1843 is the answer.
I knew it.
And
Yes, I win.
and actually,
I'm still depressed that you just completely ignored my Bruce Forsyth reference. But
oh
moving
god.
on. Yes.
Yes. Well, we don't. I don't know. I
I
think
got it, Rich. I
Aside
got
from-
Discorder should be disqualified because you asked for a range of years and she only gave 1 year.
True. Yes, I agree with that.
I
Yes.
win.
Toxic
I think
femininity strikes again. What
I
can
think
I say?
you'll find you were all wrong, so none of you are winners. So
Except me.
therefore,
I was
I got
correct. I
point.
gave a range of years that perfectly covered the answer.
no,
I
you
was
didn't.
the closest.
Yeah, I did. Lead pipes.
Lead pipes.
It's the only explanation for something so stupid as Christmas cards.
Well,
Lead
the
does things to the brain.
Well, anyway, the
We're
Christmas
seeing that effect
It's
on
kind
you.
of like a static neurotoxin.
the first set
Do
of
you have
Christmas.
lead pipes in Scotland, Tailed?
We don't have lead. We sold it all.
Fair enough.
Your
I mean,
pewter's pure now, is it?
I can go along with a self-deprecating answer from my opponent. That's fine by me.
The first set of Christmas cards featured a family drinking wine, and they have been preserved. And one of them came onto the market for collectors of Christmas cards in 2014, and it sold. But how much did it sell for?
I was going to say,
That's
are we going to have to guess a range of prices now?
Well, I tell you what, you can guess either a specific price or a range of prices, Tailed.
Discordia?
That's like preserving like a clone of Hitler or something as an embryo. Why would you do that?
Some
Okay,
people like to look at the
I'm
art.
game. £35,000.
The Britisher thinks £35,000. Any advance on 35,000?
A penny.
A penny? So you thought it was? You thought it was?
One.
You thought it was
Hold on.
completely worthless?
I'm
Don't-
just going to go ahead and look up what was the actual death count of World War II. Death count of World War II was the exact value of all Christmas cards. There you go.
Oh, for goodness sake! Well, the actual answer is none of you are actually. I mean, Tailed was pretty close. Tailed was pretty close.
But
or
I was the closest.
2001.
I should say Tailed was the closest. He was actually completely off. The actual price that it sold for was £8,469, which is quite which is quite a lot for a Christmas card, and in particular a used Christmas card, presumably at that.
Yeah, so British Air was closer.
He said £35,000.
Well, yes, that's because
That's
back then they
35,001.
sold them in 4-packs.
Oh, is that right? That makes perfect sense, British Air. Thank you for that contribution.
Together, British,
forget-
you and I
forget-
will ruin this stream.
You forget I was there.
Oh, obviously. In fact, you were the one guiding the hand of Sir Henry Cole when he was painting them, indeed.
But
But
the first recipient of a Christmas card.
he was both the writer and the recipient, is that right? He's been sending them to himself for years at this point. I tell you what, let's finish on Christmas cards with another Christmas card themed thing, because it's Oozaloo's favourite topic.
Are you just reading these out of a Christmas trivia book from the 90s?
I am not.
In fact, while we're answering them, I would advise you to look up yet more questions, more trivia regarding Christmas cards, because Oozaloo is enjoying it that much.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I could actually make a special exception and just
We
throw
could make
out
this
all the
the
other
Christmas
it could
card
just be
quiz
only
stream.
Christmas cards, definitely. But
It literally works for me. I get to shit on all of you for caring about them.
you act like we care,
Yeah,
but the only thing we care about is irritating you, clearly, or giving you enjoyment, as it may be for your Christmas
That's
card.
that.
Look, let's face it, I'm here for one reason, to get the chat.
Obvious. Speaking of Christmas cards, though, you may have noticed on several Christmas cards that you've seen over the course of the years that there are a particular type of bird on them. What's that bird?
Robin.
It's a robin. That's quite correct.
Get it?
Disco.
Because they're robbing you by selling you this shit?
But why are robins on Christmas cards? Because they're not particularly wintry birds.
Postmen.
Pretty.
Postmen wore red uniforms and
Very
were therefore
good.
referred to as red robins.
You're not supposed to give the correct answer, Jesus.
Very good, Britisher.
Because
Right.
they're
More
cute.
notable in the
And
winter.
that's my final answer.
150 years ago, the postman who delivered the cards wore red tunics, and they were named robins after them.
And
So
Britisher was there.
Well, Britisher was one of
have
them.
been one of them.
Of course, yes.
20-year-old Britisher had to do his paper round at some point. That's all I can
Chat
say.
says a penguin, which is actually the correct answer. You guys were wrong.
Penguin is clearly on
Yep.
some Christmas.
And the reason why it's robins is because Batman. They're also correct on that.
I mean,
Painted
you're just
Blues
wrong.
guest Diana Bott.
I hate to call the chat out, but the chat is just flatly wrong. Diane Abbott.
Don't worry, chat. I'm on your side.
I
Do you
wish
have-
bird was on the Christmas card. Fucking Mrs. Claus and that, eh?
Nice.
I think I would trust any given avian to do maths more than I would trust our potential leader of the Home Secretary,
At
leader of
least
the
re-
police, borders, Secret
le-
Service, etc.
Well, it's not much of a risk now, is it? But at least ravens can count. You're quite correct.
One thing
That's
I would
true,
love to
actually.
know, given that we're talking about red uniforms, why does Santa
You filthy
wear
communist.
why does Santa wear a red robe?
Thanks.
Blood of his slaves.
I mean, what is the symbolism of that? I mean, the red robe with the white
Everyone knows that.
trim,
Everybody,
universal.
everybody knows this.
Look, I'll give the correct answer if it's too obvious not to say.
Oh, go on. Usually.
I just said it, Coca-Cola. Well, I mean, that's the answer that you then turn around and say, no, you see. I don't care, Coca-Cola. Final answer.
A very strong advertising campaign by Coca-Cola, yes. It used to be green before then, because green was kind of the symbol of new life, and that was bringing in the new year.
And now that
I
Boris has been
reckon.
elected around Christmas, it's now going to be blue.
What?
Yeah, there was some comics around the time with Boris in a blue Santa outfit giving out presents of
Labour again. We're
Will
getting on
that outfit also have little yellow stars on it?
Do you know what I want to see?
slightly
Like,
different shade of blue, luckily.
At
Well,
some
we
point-
assume.
At some point, Santa will become a sign of cis heteronormative patriarchy, right?
Sure, he probably
And-
already has.
And
And
is he
so-
not already?
Oh, yeah, obviously. I mean, Mrs. Claus is a kept woman, so there you go. unless you believe that she's the CEO of Elfington Co.
I'm
And-
sure I've seen that Santa should be a woman. I'm
Oh,
sure
yeah.
I've seen that article.
I saw something brief, but what I'm waiting for is when the red becomes problematic, right? And they start having many Santa outfits in various different flags. Sort of rainbow.
No, it's going to be it's going to be an internal schism of the radical left. There's going to be those defending him as a communist because, after all, he gives out free gifts, which is obviously the highest aspiration of any communist, is to just give people free stuff, whether they've earned it or not. And then there's going to be those that say, well, he's a man. So the Reds and the, I guess, Pinks defending the sacred vagina, and that'll be the war. That is actually the current war of the left. We really got back to politics quickly now, haven't we?
Can you imagine if there's like a war and the uniforms of all sides end up being Santa outfits in whatever flag that represents your particular social demographic? Like the rainbow coalition Santas versus the black and yellow Ancapistan Santas, and so on and so forth.
They'll just continue to unfurl their vagina hats. In the end, it'll just be the fight between the vaginas and the Santas.
Oh God! I tell you what, let's catch up with the super chats.
Can I just interject quickly before you go to the super chats?
Yes.
Because Wikipedia has actually got a Santa suit page.
Do they?
A Santa suit is a suit worn by a person portraying Santa Claus. The modern American version of the suit can be attributed to the work of Thomas Nast, I don't know, for Harper's Weekly magazine, although it is often incorrectly thought that Hatton Sunbloom designed the suit in his advertising work for the Coca-Cola Company.
I fucking told you. I knew it. I knew you were going to pull that up, but actually...
Thomas Nast, then.
This is why the teachers always say Wikipedia is a bad source, because it's not as fun.
That's purely the reason. Absolutely.
I knew that was going to be riveting when he brought up. There's a Wikipedia article on this. Would you like me to read it for you?
Oh God, yes. The most riveting of all content on Fake Accents Unite is Wikipedia source. Mistress Crimson says, I recently lost my dad, but your live streams always make me smile. Keep it up and thank you. Merry Christmas to all. Kiss.
Can I make a joke about that?
No, let's not. That's too wholesome. It's far too wholesome.
That's the first time the British has told me no.
Thank you.
And it's the last time I'm going to listen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Crimson. I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm glad that we can give you a smile. Greed the Avaricious says, this bag of flour is for seasoning the pork, thickening my stew and making simple flatbreads. Flour and some water goes a long way and has many good uses. Thank you very much for telling us how to utilize flour, I guess. So we've gone so far off topic since the original message that was talking about his different culinary expertises that I feel like that's fallen a bit flat. But let's move on. Mr. Gently Benevolent says, did you all enjoy your Owen Jones is a Wanker Day? Merry Christmas, chaps, and disco. Do any of the panel have a favourite rock? Now, what's that a reference to, Disco?
That is a reference to Laughing at the Guardian. We've been making fun of my co-host for having pet rocks.
Who has a pet rock?
Harrian.
Oh dear.
He has a lot of pet rocks.
That's just the Welsh food,
knows.
isn't it?
I wonder if anyone here knows of Clive the Rock.
It sounds familiar.
Someone in chat might know about it.
Sounds familiar. Also, speaking of Owen Jones is a Wanker Day, I thought it was funny that because it was the top trending hashtag in the UK for a little while, and then Twitter decided that that's not very appropriate and probably constitutes harassment somewhere, so we're going to remove it as a hashtag. At which point, Owen Jones is a Wanker went straight to number one in the UK, so it manages to do both. I could see chat going, rock posting, igneous rocks for the win, Gibraltar.
Gibraltar is in fact the correct answer.
Sorry?
Gibraltar is in fact the correct answer. Except that there does seem to be a small, just a small purge, considering they voted Remain.
They at least see themselves more British than they do Spanish.
With either Gibraltar or Blackpool.
Ooh, Blackpool.
full of Northerners, isn't it? Am I wrong?
I've never been to Blackpool. It just Blackpool Pleasure Beach seems like such a misnomer from every.
Yeah, something
picture
tells
that
me
I've
you've
seen.
never heard of Blackpool Rock.
No, I haven't.
I have.
Work with me here,
Is
Discordia.
this the suite or is it an actual place?
Do you want to tell him?
Are we talking about
assume it's the
illicit
sweet.
chemical substances?
Oh dear God.
This is
Did I
meth
take
or
it a little bit
something.
further than you were expecting, British?
Is this meth or cocaine? That's what I want to know.
Are we talking about black meth?
Fa la 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 la
La,
la
la,
la.
la, la. People are also putting Stormzy as a massive bell end in chat. Yeah, that was also trending. Because he's just...
Yes, Mr. Femi, or whatever he's called, Femi Sorry on Twitter, already pointed out that these two men who are getting all this abuse happen to be one of them black and the other one gay.
And they're both, in his own
I'm
words,
sure that's why.
the most prominent gay journalist and the most prominent the most prominent black artist.
Yeah, so they
Women
wouldn't
black,
possibly be
women
any
gay
other
are
reason
both
why somebody might be criticising them.
Yes.
I think the one thing that we can take away from this is that the Owen Jones is clearly a submissive gay, right? So he's probably enjoying all this abuse. I think the lesson of
Certainly
the day
enjoying the
is that
attention in the media.
if you are affectionate towards the plight of those poor homosexuals who, of course, get no love from the corporate world and everyone else, then go ahead and give Owen Jones something to really become physically prominent about.
Oh,
La 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 la
La, la, la.
marvellous. Last but not least, the Mad Mercenary says, "Smoke a cigar for Christmas. Merry Christmas." Thank you very much, man. Let's move back to Christmas topics rather than talking about how much of a wanker Owen Jones is and how much of a bellend Stormzy happens to be.
But those are Christmas topics.
What?
Have you noticed that we've got two fat, white-haired patriarchs at the head of our countries? I think it's a Lapland infiltration, but I'm okay with it.
It could just be a severe case of dandruff in both cases.
Well, I mean, Trump can't have dandruff. He's not eligible. It's not real hair, but never
It's
mind.
not real hair, no.
He probably sprinkles some in artificially, gets it imported.
It's like
I
Christmas
mean, I wouldn't
snow.
be surprised if, in fact, Mr. Dipfeffel Johnson, somewhere in the long list of names, also has got Chris Kringle in there somewhere.
I see. I've never heard anyone call Santa Claus Chris Kringle. And again, if I find it weird calling him Santa Claus because I've always called him Father Christmas.
I do not know what to say to that. You didn't know who John Wayne was.
I know who Chris Kringle is. I knew who John Wayne was. When did I ever not know that John Wayne was a Western icon? What shall we call it? Or an icon of Western films? I don't know. Just because I haven't seen any of the films with him in doesn't mean that I didn't know who he was. I don't know. Back to Christmas. The Christmas.
Yes, please.
The Christmas cracker.
Before I start mentioning John Wayne playing Genghis Khan and that being his most famous role.
Okay, the Christmas cracker was invented by London sweet shop owner Tom Smith. Most people know this. But why did he invent them? What spurred him? Lead
Hitler had already
pipes.
done his thing, so he decided to do something a little bit different. It's
No,
like, you can copy it, but may change it a little bit so it's not exactly the same.
sort of. He saw French bonbons wrapped in paper with a twist at each end, and he had been selling similar sweets with a kind of what he called a love motto inside. So imagine sort of Bassett's love hearts, but inside a wrapper, individually wrapped.
Mined directly from the cliffs of Dover.
Indeed. And he then included a little trinket and pellets that would go bang when they opened them. And he called what did he call them? Because he didn't call them Christmas crackers. What did he call them?
Allahu Akbar!
Nice one, Tail.
Christmas honkies? Christmas honkies?
No, it wasn't Christmas honky.
Christmas white devils?
They weren't Christmas anything.
Death.
It's called something else entirely.
Yuletide Blasters.
No, that's the name of the film that you purchased for Christmas this year, Britisher. They were called bangs of expectation. And they included such gifts as jewellery.
Which the British also purchased recently.
Yes, indeed. Jewellery and miniature dolls they contained. And by 1900, so 13 years later, he was selling 13 million crackers a year. Or 13 million bangs. He
really
banged...
turned around the slave trade the other direction, didn't
And
he?
then he decided to abandon that concept altogether because there was too much competition, and instead go for a different type of packaging and then market it as Kinder Surprise.
Did he? Or are you
No,
have
he
pulling my
didn't,
leg?
of course
No,
not.
of course not.
You're just
I'm going. Are
anything,
you expanding on this story in a way which I have not foreseen? It's like, what ridiculousness is this? The Kinder Surprise. No. So he was selling.
He actually went into dynamite.
Yes, just the bangs became louder and bigger, and he started blowing people's hands off. It was too much.
They actually gained value in what they do.
You assume that human mirth and joy is not something inherently valuable.
Well, it literally isn't inherently valuable.
What is it?
Bangs of expectation is what I call consensual sex.
Kind of had that joke already.
When was the last time you had a bang of expectation, Tailed? Was that your pickup line as well?
Well, I can tell you how long Not So Obvious's last bang of expectation lasted.
Oh, shut up. Mistletoe.
Let's just say that the expectation was rapidly followed by disappointment.
But no, it wasn't. Stop it.
I think everybody's rather intrigued that you would know so much about it.
Yeah, indeed.
He confides all in me for some
Yes,
fucking
there's
reason.
something I should know here.
Yeah, she's got you there. Mistletoe comes from obviously a tradition where you hang the mistletoe and people kiss under it. But what is it that mistletoe, or by its Latin name Viscum album, actually means? What does it mean? And why?
Sure.
Hold on, just Not So Obvious. Just wait 1 second. There you go.
Viscum
I knew
album.
you could do it. I knew you could do it.
Sorry,
Viscum
what?
album, or mistletoe, comes from which Anglo-Saxon word, and why?
Well,
Brett, sure, you were there.
well, album I would have assumed, refers to white. No?
No, I'm afraid...
Albion, White Cliffs of Dover.
There's
Yes,
clearly-
that makes sense.
Clearly, no one has a clue. It comes from the Anglo-Saxon word mistletoe. Actually, there it means little dung twig, and this comes because
Thanks, that was really fulfilling, that answer.
the plant spreads through bird droppings, and that's why.
It was
It's
Mistelan, by the way, not
oh, sorry, mistle.
La 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 la.
Mistletoe.
La 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 la. Yes.
So yes,
Put the trivia book down. It's boring. It doesn't have anything useful. Oh, it spreads through bird dropping. Okay, thanks. Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's just bizarre to think that this is something people decide that they're going to hold up over themselves and hopefully just have a snog under. It's just like,
Well, yes, but hasn't it always had some kind of how should we say, magical qualities?
it rises from the bird droppings. Yes.
Well, no, I think it had various things sort of ascribed to it, special powers of sorts. So I think
You're thinking of marijuana. Similar, but not quite the same.
People in chat are saying mistletoes, as in missile. Is it
Yes,
an armor-penetrating toe?
Yes, I think the person that said that has just left their preschool class.
I mean, did you follow them to understand this information?
Are you accusing me of paedophilia?
Yes.
Well, that's too far, mate. I mean, come on. I
la
come
la
here to be an
la
edgy boy
la
and
la.
make
Wait,
the
I
stream
feel like-
entertaining by proxy, but, that's just too far, man. You take it seriously for once.
We're going to move on. The first song ever broadcast was A Christmas Carol. In 1906, the Canadian inventor Reginald Fessenden played which song on the violin, broadcasting from Branch Rock Radio Tower in Massachusetts?
I'm assuming it would be something simple. Silent Night?
Not quite. It's a lesser known. It's not really on the top list of.
You're not making this easy for us, are you?
Did I say this
Less-
would be an easy evening for you, British?
Did you say,
noggin jogging?
Did you say lesser known?
Slightly lesser known.
Could
Holy
be more
Night.
obvious then.
There we go.
Holy Night.
Tail Feature has got it. Yes. Oh, Holy Night was the Christmas Carol in general, and he played it on the violin.
I thought it would be Merry Christmas, Everybody by Slade.
Oh, in fact, that is the most profitable Christmas song ever written. That particular one by Slade.
Although I've got the feeling Mariah Carey is catching up quickly.
No, you'd think so, but she only earns $150,000 a year only.
The poor woman.
From the sales of this song, whereas Slade still earns £500,000 a year from this one song.
Something tells me they'd worked out a better contract.
Yes, the royalties have been let me go.
All those Nigerian princes need to get into the Christmas game.
Yeah, although did you hear about the Nigerian flat that had something stupid like $93 million or something in it? In fact, I think it was $63 million worth of Nigerian currency sitting in an empty flat that was then raided and seized.
Was it actually a flat, or was the house actually built rather than out of bricks from bundles of notes?
I believe they're still called bricks in the way that that's said. Yes. No, it was. They found just in a bedroom, there was just this massive pile of cash, and obviously all the comments surrounding it were saying things along the lines of, he's been trying to give it away for years, but no one was returning his calls or his emails. Yes, this is a real shame. But let me say, what is the UK's favourite Christmas carol?
Oh man, I can't wait to hear the answer. It's going to change my life.
Is it that one?
Just going, there are many other
Deck
Christmas
the Halls.
carols. There are many. It's not Deck the Halls, no.
I have to say, I quite like when they stop playing them. So
Yeah.
the last one.
It's so what you're really saying is what is your least despised Christmas carol?
Well, okay, I'll go with Good King Wenceslas.
It is not Good King Wenceslas. It is.
But is it what British has said? Because that's not the same thing as you said.
No,
Is it
it's,
Last Christmas by Wham?
it is not. It is in fact Silent Night, which is the most austere of all the Christmas carols.
Chat saying
as-
Jingle
as-
Bells. I'm
aside-
going with chat.
Aside with potentially In the Bleak Midwinter probably is a little bit more like that. But Silent Night.
Silent Night was what they sung in the trenches, wasn't it? That famous First World War Christmas, where both sides came out of the trenches and had a football match with each other.
And since then,
And
God hasn't let us forget it. So yes.
oh well, then. Yep. Moving on.
La 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 la
Oh
la
Holy,
la
Oh
la.
Holy Night was second, and it's been sung by Mariah Carey, Cher, and Bing Crosby, and it held the #1 spot for favourite Christmas carols from 2003 to 2013, and in third place was Hark the Herald Angels Sing. So there we are. That's apparently how the UK public feels about Christmas carols.
Knowing these answers has changed my life.
Look, it's meant to
I
be.
prefer God Rest You Merry Gentlemen.
I do like God Rest You Merry Gentlemen.
Is there a particular Scottish Christmas carol?
Fa la
Fuck
la
the
la.
English?
I'm trying very quickly to think of
tradition
one
in the many sorts.
forthcoming.
I quite like the Carol of the Bells. That's my favourite.
I would say that Christmas is just preparation for Hogmanay in Scotland. we
Yeah, fuck
celebrate
Christmas.
that a lot more.
How many Scots do you think remember Christmas? That's the real thing.
Not many.
I don't know.
I'm just assuming that I'm just assuming people drink. This is the worst fake accents unite for random silences where we just don't have it. No one wants to flow on. Okay, fair enough. As an interesting tidbit as well, how many Lego sets are sold every second over the Christmas period?
And
Ooh.
how many
Oh,
of
yeah.
them are actually sold to children?
Oh, I do wonder.
Because
How
that's
many
the
of them?
really terrifying thing about it.
I used to.
I would suspect that it took somewhat of a precipitous drop around 2011.
Why would that be?
Can anyone guess?
Do you mean 2001?
Would that have anything to do with Star Wars?
That's a different but also good joke-tailed feature, but no. No, I wasn't actually making a joke. Minecraft.
Oh, no, I've no idea whether or not they took a drop due to Minecraft. But I do know that the answer is 28 sets. 28 Lego sets are sold every second across Christmas.
So is that in the UK?
That's worldwide. That's according to Lego itself.
I'm somewhat surprised that Lego is still doing well, to be honest. I guess...
Actually, I think they got a huge boost after the crash. That somehow families went back to sort of much more traditional toys, and the Lego somehow kind of rose from the ashes and suddenly became a huge thing again.
I think
Good
they've
for
also,
them. I feel like it might be the light before the darkness, though.
They've also had a boost from the fact that they obviously it's got a very distinct visual style, and so they have monetized that in terms of video game spin-offs. They seem to just anything that comes out that has sequelized in Hollywood or was a big seller. You know, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Jurassic Park, and Jurassic World. Even
they tie up with they tie up everything with Hollywood films, don't they?
They have. And, of course, they got many brand deals for the physical sets, and naive children and their minted parents are quite happy to shell out £30 for a Lego set.
But I still would like to know how many kids ever had the Star Wars Death Star or the Millennium Falcon bought for them.
I have.
Because something tells me that those are pretty much exclusively bought by adults for themselves.
Well, I can say that I had a Star Destroyer when I was a child, a Lego Star Destroyer, some stupid number of pieces. And I loved that. Absolutely adored it. But Lego, as chat's saying, Lego is very customizable as well. You could buy like the big tubs of random Lego pieces.
I think
craft your own ones.
If you have to compare them, Minecraft has Lego beat in pretty much every practical sense.
Apart from the practical sense.
Yes, I was just about to say.
The physical touch and the build it yourself. So.
Yeah, I said practical. Touching it is emotional.
No, not really.
It's an emotional advantage. I mean, what practical advantage is there to touching it over touching a mouse and doing the same thing? Kids are smart. They can virtualize.
Obviously, but it's something to do with.
In that case, I will just say, real life woman and virtual woman, more than that explains itself.
But you can't do the same things. If the objective is to build something, it's a bit less complex than the act of consummation, unless you're not so obvious.
Oh, shut up. That's what we like. We like vitriol between the guests and the host on the fake accents. I get that Minecraft is effectively Lego 3D, right?
But infinite.
Yeah,
it does have that going for it,
and it's it's very cheap by comparison.
Yeah, you buy it once instead of you pay for it every set of bricks.
Yeah, but also, you get it on sale, it's £8 or whatever, as opposed to a Lego set where you're having to shell out over 20 quid a set. And surely the only real advantage to Lego is for either people who enjoy the model aspect, they like building it, having it there, and they can display it and whatnot.
Well, it also leaves humanity with the joint experience that everybody can share of knowing how much it hurts to have stood on a Lego brick accidentally.
That is
Whereas
true.
you don't get those sort of shared experiences with Minecraft.
You don't think? Have you ever tried to get a LAN setup working correctly for Minecraft? It is a nightmare.
That is, one, not that true, but also a good counter argument. It seems that British was making my argument for me, though. I think.
Possibly. Let's move on from Lego. What was we were talking earlier about stockings, St. Nicholas and whatnot. But what is the length of the longest ever Christmas stocking?
Who cares?
Oh dear God!
I once put one around my, and that was probably the longest.
Can you give us some sort of guideline? I mean, are we talking,
We are
football pitches here, or are we talking?
We want an answer in meters, and it is less than 100 meters.
Okay. 32 meters.
You are exactly right, Britisher. Well done. It is 32.56 meters long.
Please
God,
do
British learn how to use Google.
Please do remind me to remember to get the lottery done. Yes.
British is on Wikipedia again, I think.
Just learn how to use Google.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, that was way too specific. Yes, 32.56 meters. Yes.
Well,
It
if
was
you did that 100 times, you'd be on point to guess it correctly once.
Either that, or I would have caught the luck virus.
Oh, indeed.
Red Dwarf.
Sure. You may have also.
Did Red Dwarf ever do anything in Christmas?
I don't think
Did they ever had a Christmas themed thing?
There
I don't
was.
think
They did
Remember one
do.
offhand.
There was one, but it's been hidden. Because it was so
It was
abysmal.
that good, was it?
It was so abysmal. It involved things like they had Ainsley Harriott on it.
Oh my god! Moving
and-
on. Fa la 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 la.
And he did
Was
some.
it better or worse than the Star Wars?
That was
special?
Can't Smeg, Won't Smeg, and that was on Red Dwarf Night in like 1998 or 97.
Well, yes, well, that was the where it was sort of a rip off of Ready Steady Cook and stuff like that. That was bizarre.
It was pretty awful, but it's on YouTube.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's there. I'd be curious. No, I don't want to watch that again. That's fine.
It's fine
Look,
when
I
watch
think
it,
if
that's enough.
I think if any of you had any sort of significant luck in virus form or otherwise, I wouldn't be here.
Probably. In fact,
True.
that's absolutely true.
You should all consider yourselves to be husks for my conduit with the chat. I'm just using NSO's channel for it to be exceedingly edgy so that I don't have to get mine taken down.
Oh, I see. That's why you're here, is it? To get my
And
chat
you
taken.
invited me and continue inviting me in the future.
Absolutely. And it will be a delight to have you back, Osloo.
Don't send me a Christmas card.
I'm going to send you 10. Here's an interesting thing, though. The Japanese do not traditionally celebrate Christmas, but they do have a sort of celebration around this time thanks to a clever marketing campaign, which leads to them consuming something which they might consider to be a Christmas dinner. And it's so popular that they have to eat it from a specific restaurant, and they have to place their Christmas orders 2 months in advance.
Oh yes.
What is that restaurant?
My answer is the Japanese are fucking weird. If they can just stay in
Yep,
their
it's
own
weird.
little island and make anime but without the pedo stuff, I'll be happy. I don't care.
Not
I'll be
KFC.
beyond that.
It is KFC, Kentucky Fried
Jesus.
Chicken. They order it. They order it in specially, and they have various options for the chicken that go out, including rotisserie, smoked, and barbecue chicken. Because they
Do
can
they
only
fold their chicken 1,000 times?
because no, I don't think so. But they can only fry so much at a time, and they're so in demand that they have to offer these extra options because otherwise they won't get through the quantity of chicken required to send it out to people. But also, it's one of those things which other fast food style companies have been trying to break into the market on for years, and so, for instance, McDonald's this year is trying to offer a chicken strips meal that comes with a free iPhone watch strap so that they can get more orders in for Christmas. It's truly insane. But there you go. That's an interesting tidbit for you all there. Right. So obviously the UK has somewhat of a binge drinking culture, but obviously Christmas is the time for all to have a tipple, unless you're the Britisher and you just can't stand the taste of alcohol. Sorry, what was that, Toad?
I don't know what you mean.
Don't know what you mean. No, of course not. But apparently, this is ascribed to the strain of cooking a Christmas dinner, and the average Briton starts to sip their first alcoholic drink around in Christmas time at 11:48 in the morning.
That's a bit late, isn't it?
We're all sozzled. Well, assuming you've had a lie-in, Disco. Assuming you've had a lie-in. I understand that you're so desperate. You're so addicted and desperate for your buckfast up there that you've got to have it as soon as you wake up with your porridge.
I lie until 11:47, and then I'll have my buckfast at 11:40.
we do a special traditional Scottish breakfast drink here. We get some iron brew and put heroin in it.
That sounds divine.
Perfect.
Oh god, is it mulled? Is it usually
Mulled iron brew? The Isle of Mull.
The Isle of Mull, yes. The last factoid for this evening, which I'm sure you'll all be dreadfully grateful to be hearing, is about the UK Brussels sprouts industry.
I hate Brussels. Let's talk about Brussels, shall we?
Burn Brussels, yes. But the area of the country covered by Brussels sprouts is equivalent to 3,240 football pitches. How much is the industry worth?
Is the number negative? And if not, why not?
The number is not. It is in the millions that I'm looking for.
I quite like Brussels sprouts.
Oh, what's wrong with you? No wonder you left.
We don't want her either if she wants Brussels sprouts. Jesus. There's no home for you, you know that.
Sorry, Richard?
125 million.
125 million. Any advance on 125 million?
32 million.
There's no point guessing.
You're still missing the chance, aren't you? Higher, lower. No.
No, I'm not going to do it.
I'm going to go with 32 million just because Britisher got lucky with 32.
I see.
Yeah, but he's moved on from 32. He's done a Google search. He knows it's 125. There's no point guessing. Wait, hold on. It's not going to be exactly 125. I got to look it up. So it's 125 point what? I can get closer.
No, you not to look it up, Oozaloo. You make your guess if you're going to make your guess.
A loser, Lou.
Do you know I've never heard that one before?
No.
Yeah,
it's a miracle. In fact, yeah.
If you're feeling in the spirit, you could go with Oozajoo, perhaps Juzaloo, works both ends, even combined Juzajoo, one of my personal favourites.
or given my avatar.
That's very tautological, that one, Juzajoo.
I just want to point out the chat is saying no more Brussels. We had a referendum.
No more Brussels. True. But in fact, you're all considerably off. The
Except
Brussels,
me.
Including Oozaloo. The Brussels sprouts industry.
Guess.
The Brussels sprout, which is why you're off. Brussels sprouts industry is worth £650 million.
What?
Which is quite considerable, really.
Who is eating men?
I was closest with 125 point something.
Point something.
Yeah, I was actually unironically closest. I win.
Apart from the fact that you didn't qualify that, and you did just tell me that you didn't make a real guess. So
that was a joke, and yes, I did.
Losers. You're awfully competitive.
Give me a goddamn point. Put it on the board.
I can't give you a point to your existence.
Look, if we're not allowed to make political points, at least give me one of these gay trivia points.
Okay, you can have an invisible gay trivia point. There you go.
Well, that's better than all the rest of you got.
So dear.
Mine's invisible.
£650 million. I quite like
your point is getting posted to you in a Christmas card.
In a Christmas card, yes.
I want it properly wrapped so it arrives
undamaged. You didn't give the minion our address, did you?
I
don't want him showing up here.
Like, are you looking to get disconnected from the chat, both of you? Is that what it is?
Oh, I'm sorry. We were supposed to give chat Minion's address. Right, hold on. Here it is. Oh wait, did you not want me to say? You didn't want me to say, did you?
You don't know my address.
Just type it in the chat. It'll be fine.
All right, hold on. I'll go type it.
You
think I don't know?
Everybody knows I live in London. It's just you don't know my actual address. I've never told you my address.
It's close enough.
It's only like 4 million. Sorry?
Not so obvious. SW1.
No.
W127RJ. Does that
no, that's not the one. Not
all right, look, we can narrow it down. Is your current MP Jeremy Corbyn?
No.
I think it is.
I think not.
Yeah, I see.
Is it David Lammy?
Yeah, dear.
Well,
I'll tell you what.
if you're not in any of the other districts, I'm pretty sure what you're in right now is denial.
Oh, shush. Well, I'm going to round things out. I'm going to finish off these super chats and bring us to a close. So the Mad Mercenary says, sorry, we've already done the Mad Mercenary there. So Scowen says, late, tempus fugit, NSO, tempus fugit, or fugit, or fugit, F-U-G-I-T. Stop calling me a gits at Scowen, although I appreciate your donation. Thank you. The Mad Mercenary says, have a cigar for Christmas, Oozaloo and the Britisher. Seems NSO is not game for his. He probably couldn't handle one anyway. Fa la 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 la.
Correct.
Thank you.
Would you last more than a second at that?
George donated £2 and says fa la 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 me. So thank you for that. And with that, I think it's probably time to end. I am out of anecdotes. My guests are contributing nothing but smut, bile and vitriol towards me today,
and that's just me.
And that's just the regular outgoings of the guests.
But and bile to all men.
To all men, that's what they say.
Out of goodwill.
At this Christmas time, may we all lie cold in a ditch somewhere. Good night, everybody. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great week. Take care.
Corbin bless.